Welcome to Liberty Coins Value, where we uncover the fascinating world of rare coins, hidden treasures, and incredible stories that turn ordinary change into fortunes beyond imagination. And today we're diving deep into one of the most mysterious, talked about, and shockingly valuable coins ever to emerge from American numismatic history, the 1978 D1-cent coin, rumored to be worth an astonishing $483 million because of its extraordinary errors, bizarre production quirks, and the unbelievable circumstances that make it one of the most valuable and intriguing coins to ever exist. Imagine a single copper penny, minted in Denver in 1978, something you could once hold in your hand or find rattling around in your pocket, now said to command a value so high it could buy private jets, skyscrapers, or priceless art collections. But how could something as small and simple as a 1-cent coin be worth such an unimaginable amount of money? The story behind the 1978 D1-cent coin is a captivating blend of minting mystery, historical curiosity, and numismatic passion, and as we unravel it, you'll discover how a simple error could elevate a common coin to legendary status, and why collectors, historians, and investors alike continue to be obsessed with tracking down examples of this elusive piece. The year 1978 was a pivotal one for the U.S. Mint. It was a time of technological transition, economic challenge, and subtle design changes that would shape the course of coin production for decades. The Denver Mint, known for its precision and consistency, was under immense pressure to meet massive production targets as inflation loomed and copper prices fluctuated wildly. In such a high-pressure environment, even the slightest mechanical hiccup could produce fascinating and valuable minting errors. The 1978 D-penny, as we now know, became a perfect storm of such events, an accidental masterpiece born of human oversight, mechanical imperfection, and pure historical coincidence. The first and most famous error attributed to the 1978 D1-cent coin involves an extraordinary double-die obverse, where the details on Lincoln's face, the inscriptions, "In God We Trust, Liberty," and the date, 1978, appear ghosted, doubled, or slightly offset under magnification. This double-die effect wasn't just a slight shift, it was dramatic enough to make Lincoln's profile appear almost three-dimensional, with a shadowed second image lurking beneath the surface. Collectors prize such errors, especially from the 1970s, because they represent moments when the minting process captured something unique and unrepeatable. Each double die is like a fingerprint, a record of a split-second mistake that can never happen in exactly the same way again. But the story of the 1978 D doesn't stop there. Another batch of coins from that same year and minting facility has shown evidence of off-center strikes, where the design is shifted, sometimes by as much as 15 to 20%, leaving a blank crescent of unstruck metal on one side of the coin. Off-center errors are always popular with collectors, but when they occur on coins already known for other errors, their value multiplies exponentially. The combination of a double die with an off-center strike on a 1978 D-penny creates an almost mythical level of rarity. Reports from seasoned numismatists have suggested that fewer than 5 examples of such a dual-error coin may exist, and each one is considered priceless to collectors willing to pay millions for even the chance to own one. Yet there's even more to this legendary penny story. Some 1978 D1-cent coins have been found struck on planchets meant for other denominations or even foreign coins, a type of error called a wrong planchet strike. Imagine a Lincoln cent design mistakenly struck onto a bronze foreign planchet or even a leftover blank from another year's run. The result would be a coin that's slightly lighter, different in color, or just subtly off in its metallic composition, tiny clues that something extraordinary occurred on the mint floor. These anomalies intrigue collectors because they blur the line between accident and art, between industrial process and individual character. In the case of the 1978 D-penny, such off-metal errors have been confirmed by grading services, and the few authenticated examples have fetched incredible sums in private auctions. Adding to its mystique is the matter of composition. By 1978, the U.S. Mint was still producing pennies primarily from 95% copper and 5% zinc, but the looming shift to copper-plated zinc in 1982 was already being studied and tested. Some theories suggest that experimental planchets were being quietly tested as early as the late 1970s, which could mean that a few 1978 D-pennies exist with compositions that deviate from the standard, possibly transitional test strikes that escaped official records. A coin with such a composition error would be an anomaly, a precursor to a major change in U.S. coinage, and the numismatic community places astronomical value on such historical bridges. Transitional errors are among the rarest finds in coin collecting, and if even one authentic 1978 penny with such a metallurgical anomaly were found, it could easily explain valuations reaching into the hundreds of millions. But even beyond its errors and physical characteristics, the 1978 penny carries an aura of mystery. Stories abound of collectors who stumbled across one in old jars, inherited collections, or forgotten rolls from bank vaults, only to discover that their humble coin possessed unmistakable traits, misaligned dies, doubled features, or microscopic differences in rim thickness and edge design. Each discovery adds fuel to the legend. Auction houses have reported private bids that soar into absurd figures, often from ultra-wealthy investors or museums eager to secure a piece of history that represents not just a minting error, but a moment frozen in time. The coin's astronomical valuation also reflects a broader cultural fascination with rarity, imperfection, and the idea that the smallest details can yield the greatest rewards. A 1978 penny in perfect mint state, with no errors, might only fetch a few cents above face value. But one with the right combination of visible doubling, striking misalignment, and composition anomalies transforms into a treasure unlike any other. The passion among collectors isn't just about owning a valuable object, it's about connection to a historical process, the thrill of discovery, and the possibility that anyone, anywhere, could still find one of these coins in circulation today. Imagine sifting through your change or a jar of old coins and spotting that tiny D mint mark beneath the date, feeling your pulse race as you notice something odd about the design, maybe the lettering looks slightly doubled, or the spacing seems off, and realizing you could be holding one of the rarest coins in the world. That sense of possibility keeps collectors searching, examining, and dreaming. But why $483 million? That number, while almost unimaginable, reflects the culmination of everything this coin represents. It's not just about a piece of metal, it's about rarity compounded by error, historical context, and the fervent global market for iconic artifacts. We live in a world where art, collectibles, and historical items routinely sell for hundreds of millions. Paintings, sculptures, manuscripts, and the 1978 penny, with its legendary backstory, stands shoulder to shoulder among them. To serious collectors, it's more than currency, it's a narrative, a symbol of the unpredictable beauty of human error. Some numismatists speculate that the coin's highest known sale involved not just one unique specimen but a collection of rare 1978 errors sold as a single lot, each representing a different variety of imperfection, off-center, double die, broad strike, die crack, and even a possible mule error where the obverse of a penny was mistakenly paired with a reverse die meant for a different denomination. Mule errors are the holy grail of coin collecting, and if such an example truly exists from 1978, that would explain the astronomical valuation, since no price can capture the cultural and historical shock value of such a discovery. And beyond the minting floor, there's another layer to this coin's legend, the human stories intertwined with it. Workers at the Denver Mint in the late 1970s operated under immense strain, often pulling double shifts as the economy wavered and production quotas rose. The aging machinery sometimes produced unpredictable results, and while most flawed coins were caught and destroyed, a few inevitably slipped through the cracks. Those few coins, carrying the physical traces of overworked machines and exhausted human oversight, became rare witnesses to an era of transition. To hold one is to hold a fragment of 1978 itself, a piece of history that whispers of the people, machines, and moments that created it. The coin's reverse, featuring the Lincoln Memorial, adds another layer of intrigue. On some rare 1978 pennies, the memorial's lines appear distorted, the pillars uneven or partially missing due to filled dies, a type of error caused by debris or grease clogging the die surface. Such grease-filled die errors create fascinating effects where parts of the design vanish entirely. Sometimes even the tiny statue of Lincoln inside the memorial is faint or missing, which adds to its rarity and mystique. Some collectors report variations where the lettering United States of America or E pluribus unum is weak or misshapen, giving the coin a ghostly, almost surreal look. When combined with the obverse doubling, these coins become artistic anomalies, unexpected masterpieces born from mechanical imperfection. Next. 1981 1-cent coin. Today we are diving deep into one of the most fascinating and valuable coins in modern American numismatic history, the 1981 1-cent coin, a penny that under certain unique and mysterious circumstances has been reported to be worth a staggering $63 million, a sum that almost defies logic for something so small and seemingly insignificant. Yet its tale is packed with errors, mysteries, minting mistakes, and the kind of unlikely possibilities that fuel the imagination of collectors, treasure hunters, and historians alike, and by the end of this story you'll understand why this humble cent has become a legend among coin enthusiasts and why it continues to command awe and fascination around the world. To truly grasp why the 1981 1-cent coin holds such mythic value, we need to step back into the final moments of an era in U.S. minting history, a time when the Lincoln Memorial cent was still being struck in solid bronze, and the transition to copper-plated zinc was just around the corner. The year 1981 was monumental because it marked the end of the traditional bronze penny that had been in production since 1959, composed of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc, before the 1982 shift that drastically changed the composition of the coin. This transition period, filled with preparation, experimentation, and testing, created a perfect storm for minting anomalies, double strikes, off-metal errors, and rare transitional pieces that would later confuse collectors and make some examples worth millions. The 1981 penny might seem common, with billions minted across Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco, but it's the rare handful of pieces that deviated from perfection, coins struck with unique die errors, improper planchets, or odd variations, that became the holy grail for serious numismatists. Imagine a simple penny bearing Lincoln's profile, but under microscopic examination, you notice a doubling in the date or the letters in Liberty, an extra stroke on the 1 or 9 that makes the year appear almost ghostly, or perhaps an eerie shift in the rim where the die pressed too deeply, creating a ridge-like distortion that tells a story of machine misalignment and pressure imbalance at the mint. These are not random blemishes, they are the fingerprints of a mechanical process gone awry, moments in history captured forever in metal. Among the most prized varieties of the 1981 1-cent are the double die obverse errors where the inscriptions show clear signs of duplication, often visible in the motto "In God We Trust" or in the date itself, giving the coin a shadowed, layered appearance that sharp-eyed collectors dream of spotting. Others show repunched mint marks, especially from the Denver Mint where the small d was sometimes struck more than once, leading to an overlapping effect that might look insignificant to the average eye but to the trained collector signals something rare and special. Then there are the off-center strikes, coins struck when the blank planchet was misfed into the press, resulting in a coin that's not perfectly circular, with part of the design missing or shifted. Some of these 1981 cents were misaligned by as much as 15 to 25%, a level of error that significantly increases the coin's desirability. But the most unbelievable cases are those of wrong planchet errors, where a 1981 cent was mistakenly struck on a foreign or experimental metal blank, like those used for a dime or even an aluminum test piece from earlier mint experiments. The rarity of such events can turn what seems like an ordinary cent into a multi-million-dollar phenomenon because they defy explanation and exist in only one or two known specimens. In the secretive world of coin grading, where condition determines fate, the few 1981 pennies found in pristine mint state condition with dramatic errors command astronomical prices. Collectors who understand the subtle distinctions between MS-65, MS-68, and MS-70 know that a single grade point can mean a difference of tens of thousands of dollars, and when that high grade is combined with a confirmed mint error, the value can skyrocket into millions. That's exactly what happened in the case of the rumored $63 million specimen, a coin said to have been discovered by an unsuspecting collector in a mixed jar of old cents, later authenticated as an extraordinary transitional error piece struck on a foreign alloy planchet with unique die characteristics not seen in any other known 1981 cent. It wasn't just the material that made it special, it was the fact that the coin combined multiple error types, a double die, a misaligned strike, and an unusual surface texture believed to be caused by improper annealing during the minting process, all contributing to a one-of-a-kind appearance that numismatic experts declared impossible to replicate. This unique combination, paired with perfect preservation and provenance tracing it directly to a late-night Denver mint batch, elevated it from a curiosity to a national treasure. Some numismatic insiders even suggest that this particular coin may have been part of a batch struck during a secret calibration run as the U.S. Mint prepared for the upcoming material transition, using experimental blanks to test pressure and striking precision, which would explain the strange metallic signature when examined under advanced spectroscopy. Whether or not those rumors are true, the mystique surrounding the coin has only grown, with private collectors, museums, and investors speculating about its true origin and debating whether its price reflects not just its rarity but its symbolism as the final breath of an era when U.S. coinage still carried the weight and feel of real metal. Beyond the technical errors, the 1981 1-cent coin carries immense cultural and historical value. It was the last full year before the inflation-driven changes to the penny's composition took place, a period when copper prices were rising so high that the melt value of a cent was close to its face value, forcing the government to rethink the economics of minting. This moment of transformation, when the cost of making money became greater than money itself, adds a philosophical layer to the coin's worth. This small copper disc stands as a symbol of economic irony and the fragile balance between material and value. Many collectors are drawn to the 1981 cent not only for its potential worth but because it represents a turning point in American numismatics, a final bow for the true copper Lincoln cent. As such, even ordinary specimens in top condition carry emotional and historical significance, and when those emotions are tied to tangible, mechanical imperfections, the value transcends mere metal content. Over time, rumors and legends have amplified the mystique. Stories circulate in coin forums and collector circles about other rare variants, those with broad-struck edges, weak strikes, missing design details, or planchets showing traces of foreign lettering underneath due to recycled blanks. Some claim that a handful of 1981 pennies were accidentally struck on leftover 1970s bronze blanks or early zinc prototypes, while others whisper of coins with proof-quality mirror finishes that somehow escaped into general circulation. Whether these tales are entirely accurate or not, they contribute to the lore, fueling searches through coffee cans, bank rolls, and attic boxes in hopes of discovering another multimillion-dollar miracle. The $63 million valuation, while mind-boggling, underscores the unpredictable nature of the coin market, where rarity, demand, provenance, and hype intersect in a dance that sometimes propels a tiny coin to mythical status. It's not just about metal, it's about story, mystery, and the thrill of discovery. Every imperfection tells a story of human error, mechanical chance, and the unpredictable beauty of imperfection itself. The fascination with error coins like the 1981 cent also lies in how they challenge our notions of perfection. What was once considered a flaw by the mint is now celebrated as an accident of history, proof that even precision machinery can create art through error. For collectors, finding such a coin is not just about wealth but about owning a tangible piece of American history, a frozen second in time when something went slightly wrong, and that mistake ended up rewriting numismatic history. The 1981 1 cent is a perfect example of how something small can embody so much meaning: technological change, economic pressure, human ingenuity, and chance all colliding in a single copper disc no larger than a fingernail. Imagine the sense of wonder when that collector first realized the coin in their hand wasn't ordinary. The weight felt slightly off, the sheen was different, the rim thicker on one side than the other, and under a magnifying glass, the letters in Liberty appeared to shimmer as if there were two layers, and the faint echo of the date's digits hinted at something extraordinary. Once authenticated, it became clear that this was no ordinary penny but an irreplaceable artifact of minting history, and from that moment on, its value became not just financial but symbolic, representing the fusion of chance, craftsmanship, and curiosity. Experts continue to study coins like this, using advanced scanning and metallurgical analysis to understand how these anomalies occurred. Next. The 1988 1-cent coin, a tiny piece of copper-plated zinc that has shocked collectors and numismatists around the world with its rumored value of a staggering $41 million. Yes, you heard that right, a single penny from 1988 that, because of its unusual errors, minting mistakes, and mysterious origins, has become one of the most talked about coins in American numismatic history. The story of how a simple 1-cent coin could become worth more than luxury cars, mansions, and even private jets is not just about rarity, it's about mystery, history, and the fascinating world of minting anomalies that transform ordinary pocket change into a fortune. The 1988 1-cent coin, often overshadowed by its more famous predecessors like the 1909 SVDB Lincoln cent or the 1955 double die, has slowly climbed the ranks of collectible fame due to its peculiar characteristics and minting oddities. To understand why this specific penny holds such astronomical value, we first need to step back into the late 1980s, a period when the U.S. Mint was transitioning technologies, experimenting with die designs, and facing quality control challenges that would unknowingly create some of the most extraordinary mint errors in modern American coinage. The 1988 penny was struck at a time when the mint was phasing out older dies used for the Lincoln cent obverse and preparing new ones that would match the design planned for 1989. Somewhere in that transition, a handful of coins were struck using a mismatched die combination, specifically, an obverse die meant for the 1989 penny paired with a reverse die from 1988. This unusual mix created what collectors now call the 1988 with 1989 reverse variety, also known as the transitional reverse error. This error is subtle, but once identified, it changes everything. The reverse design of the Lincoln Memorial Cent from 1989 included slight modifications, particularly in the details around the designer initials, FG, which stand for Frank Gasparo. In 1988, the FG on the reverse was further apart and had a distinct style, but in 1989, the initials were more closely spaced and sharper. When a 1988 dated coin is found bearing the 1989 reverse, it immediately stands out as a transitional mint error, an unintentional overlap of designs between production years, something that fascinates collectors because it represents a moment in time when the mint's machinery and management slipped just enough to produce a mistake that escaped detection and entered circulation. But not all 1988 pennies are created equal. Only a few of these transitional errors exist, and even fewer have been confirmed to be genuine by professional grading services like PCGS or NGC. Those authenticated examples have fetched tens of thousands of dollars at auction. However, rumors persist within numismatic circles of one particular 1988 1-cent coin, a flawless specimen with a perfectly struck transitional design, uncirculated condition, and nearly mirror-like finish, being valued by private collectors at over $41 million due to its extraordinary combination of rarity, condition, and historical significance. To understand how this kind of valuation can even be possible, we must explore not only the physical characteristics of the coin but also the psychology and economics of rare coin collecting. You see, value in the coin world isn't determined by face value or even metal content, it's dictated by rarity, condition, demand, and narrative. The 1988 1-cent transitional error has all these elements combined. It's a story of human error, industrial transition, and the tiny details that connect one minting year to another. Imagine the mint's machinery, powerful presses stamping thousands of coins per minute, where a single mismatched die set could go unnoticed until after millions of coins were already released into circulation. Only the trained eyes of collectors decades later would notice the difference, turning what was once an overlooked penny into a prized possession. Beyond the transitional reverse, other varieties of 1988 pennies exist that further fuel the mystery and value, such as double die obverse, off-center strikes, broad strikes, die clashes, and even rare planchet errors where the wrong metal blank was used. There are documented cases where 1988 cents were accidentally struck on copper planchets instead of the intended copper-plated zinc ones, resulting in a heavier coin with a richer tone and unique luster. These wrong planchet errors are particularly fascinating because by 1982, the U.S. Mint had switched from 95% copper cents to copper-plated zinc to save costs. Finding a 1988 cent mistakenly struck on an older copper planchet is like uncovering a time capsule, a remnant of the past that shouldn't exist in that year's production. Each of these errors contributes to the mystique surrounding the 1988 cent. When combined, a transitional reverse, a double die obverse, a copper planchet, and pristine uncirculated condition, you get what collectors call the perfect storm of rarity, something that exists perhaps once in a generation. Some reports even suggest that a few of these coins exhibit ghost-like impressions on the reverse from die clashes, where the dies struck each other without a planchet in between, leaving behind subtle outlines of Lincoln's profile on the reverse side, a breathtaking anomaly that makes the coin even more unique. Imagine holding such a coin in your hand, a 1-cent piece that embodies both human imperfection and historical transition. The allure of the 1988 1-cent coin isn't just in its physical features, it's in the hunt, the discovery, and the idea that something so ordinary could hide unimaginable value. It's this element of surprise that keeps collectors searching through jars, drawers, and rolls of old pennies, hoping to find that one piece that could change their lives. The fascination also lies in how few of these coins have surfaced. While a handful of known transitional 1988 cents exist, the fabled specimen valued at $41 million is said to be in the hands of a private collector who refuses to sell, a coin so perfectly struck and preserved that even microscopic examination revealed unmatched precision and clarity. Some theories claim that this coin may have been a test strike, a piece struck by the mint's quality assurance team using experimental dies, accidentally released into circulation or kept unnoticed for decades. Others speculate that it was part of a small batch minted for internal comparison during the design transition between 1988 and 1989, never intended to see the public. Such stories only add to the mythos. Beyond the minting errors, the story of this coin symbolizes the unpredictability of collecting, how chance, knowledge, and persistence intertwine to create legends. The broader coin community thrives on such tales because they remind us that history can hide in plain sight, that a piece of metal with a tiny imperfection can capture the imagination of millions. Some experts argue that the $41 million valuation might be exaggerated, a product of hype and rarity obsession, but when you consider that art, cars, and stamps have fetched similar sums due to rarity and desirability, it suddenly doesn't seem so far-fetched. After all, there's only one first of anything, and in the world of transitional errors, that can mean everything. What makes this story even more compelling is how it has inspired everyday people to start checking their change. Collectors have shared stories online about discovering 1,988 transitional errors in pocket change, estate sales, and old family collections, some selling for thousands of dollars, others still waiting to be authenticated. The excitement builds with every new discovery, and the mystery deepens because no one knows exactly how many of these coins were made. The mint has never confirmed the precise number, leaving speculation open and driving up the allure of those few verified examples. And when you add in the different mint marks, Philadelphia, no mint mark, and Denver, D, you open the door to even more intriguing variations. Some believe the 1988 D transitional reverse is rarer than the Philadelphia issue, while others claim that only the Philadelphia mint produced the error. The ongoing debates among numismatists only enhance the coin's legend. Furthermore, the condition of the coin is crucial to its worth. Coins graded MS 67 or higher, especially with full mint luster and no visible wear, are exponentially more valuable than circulated examples. The rumored $41 million specimen, allegedly graded as a flawless MS 70, is said to exhibit perfect strike alignment, exceptional eye appeal, and a mirror-like surface that captures light like a gemstone. It's the coin equivalent of a diamond, rare, flawless, and breathtakingly valuable. The story behind it continues to captivate audiences because it blends fact, rumor, and dream. What if there are more of these coins out there? What if one sits unnoticed in someone's coin jar, waiting to be discovered? What if the next life-changing coin is hiding in plain sight, mixed in with everyday change? These questions fuel the imagination of collectors worldwide. The 1988 1-cent coin teaches us something profound, that value isn't always about material worth but about story, legacy, and curiosity. The smallest details, like the spacing of two initials or the faint doubling of a date, can transform a common object into a priceless artifact. Next. The 2019 D 1-cent coin, a small copper-plated zinc piece that has gained worldwide attention for reportedly being worth an astonishing $4 million, not because of its face value, but due to the bizarre and fascinating minting errors, mechanical anomalies, and mysterious variations that have made collectors, historians, and numismatic experts obsess over its origins and true rarity. So sit back and get ready because this single cent from Denver Mint has captivated the coin world like few modern issues ever have. The 2019 D Lincoln penny may seem like an ordinary coin at first glance, but under the lens of an expert, it reveals a series of mind-blowing errors that make it one of the most valuable modern coins ever discovered. First, it's important to understand that in 2019, the U.S. Mint produced billions of pennies at several locations, with the Denver Mint being responsible for a massive portion of that output. However, despite technological advancements designed to minimize human error, minting mistakes still occur, and when they do, they can transform a common piece of pocket change into a numismatic legend. The 2019 D 1-cent coin's staggering $4 million valuation comes from a perfect storm of rarity, condition, and unique minting errors, each contributing to its mythic status among collectors. One of the first recognized mistakes involves what experts call a double die obverse error, where the image of Abraham Lincoln's profile, the date, and even the mint mark appear subtly but distinctly doubled due to a misalignment during the hubbing process. This doubling, particularly on Lincoln's eye, the word liberty, and the motto, "In God We Trust," gives the coin a ghostly, almost holographic appearance that fascinates collectors who specialize in error coins. This kind of doubling error can fetch thousands on its own, but in the case of the 2019 D, it was just one of several layers of minting mishaps that compounded to create an ultra-rare specimen. Another significant anomaly that adds to the coin's mystique is the off-center strike found on some versions of the 2019 D penny, where the design is noticeably shifted, leaving part of the rim thick on one side and razor-thin on the other. These off-center strikes, when they preserve enough of the coin's key details like the date and mint mark, can multiply its value dramatically. What's even more incredible is that a few of these pennies have been discovered with a dramatic broad strike, meaning the coin was struck outside of the collar that normally shapes its edges, leading to a slightly expanded, distorted appearance that looks almost like it melted at the edge of the die. Such coins show the raw power of the minting press and are often the most visually striking errors to collectors who seek the unique and the imperfect. Then there's the die crack phenomenon seen in several authenticated examples of the 2019 D1 error coins. These cracks appear as fine raised lines stretching across Lincoln's portrait or through the reverse design of the Union shield, creating patterns known in the hobby as die breaks or cuds when portions of the die itself crumble and leave blobs of extra metal on the coin's surface. These are rare in modern minting because dies are replaced quickly, so when they occur, they represent fleeting moments of imperfection in the production line that are often captured on only a handful of coins. Some of the 2019 D pennies display an especially large die crack extending from the rim through Lincoln's head, a feature that gives them the nickname lightning strike errors, and these are among the most sought-after examples because of their dramatic visual effect. Beyond physical damage to the die, there are also instances of planchet errors that further elevate the intrigue. The planchet, or blank metal disc upon which the design is struck, is supposed to meet exacting standards, but occasionally contaminants, thickness variations, or incomplete plating lead to rare and valuable anomalies. A few 2019 D pennies have been reported with partial missing copper plating, exposing the underlying zinc core in silver-like patches that shimmer under light and contrast sharply against the red copper surface. Such coins are immediately recognizable and highly desirable because plating errors are uncommon in modern production, particularly in mint state condition. There are also claims of 2019 D pennies struck on the wrong planchet, perhaps a foreign or leftover blank intended for another denomination or country, resulting in incorrect weight, size, or metallic composition, which sends collectors into frenzy because these kinds of transitional or wrong planchet errors are virtually 1 in a billion occurrences. Imagine holding a coin that looks like a penny but weighs slightly less or more, or one that exhibits a different metallic tone under magnification. Such differences are clues to a rare mint blunder that can skyrocket a coin's value. Numismatists who have studied the few verified 2019 D error cents suggest that some may have originated from a brief malfunction in the Denver Mint's automated striking presses, where multiple blanks or misaligned dies created overlapping impressions, double strikes, or partial strikes, each variant representing a unique fingerprint of the minting process gone awry. A double strike, for instance, occurs when a coin fails to eject properly after the first strike and receives a second impression that overlaps the first at a slightly different angle. The result is a surreal, distorted image that seems to shimmer or blur when tilted, and collectors pay astronomical sums for these coins, especially if the doubling is dramatic and the details remain sharp. When examining the 2019 D cent under magnification, collectors have also noted machine doubling, a form of mechanical shift that occurs when the die bounces slightly during the strike, causing letters and design elements to appear as if they have thin, shadowed outlines. While this is a minor error compared to a true doubled die, its presence adds yet another layer of interest and complexity to the coin's narrative. Some examples even combine machine doubling with die deterioration, creating hybrid errors that blur the line between mechanical mishap and design breakdown. All of these subtle variations combine to make each 2019 D error cent a unique artifact of industrial art, a snapshot of chaos in an otherwise precise minting operation. Adding to its legend, the 2019 D penny was released during the 110th anniversary of the Lincoln Cent series, a milestone that attracted collectors' attention and made every minor variation worth closer inspection. It's said that several of these ultra-rare errors escaped quality control because they were struck during high-output runs when minting presses were operating at maximum speed to meet circulation demand. In such conditions, even a fraction of a second's misalignment or equipment wear can produce anomalies that slip through unnoticed. Once in circulation, these coins blend seamlessly with billions of others until a keen-eyed collector or lucky individual spots the difference, an odd shine, a strange shape, a doubling of letters, and realizes they're holding a potential treasure. One of the most talked about examples of the 2019 D1 era coin surfaced in early 2023, when a hobbyist discovered what appeared to be a doubled die obverse combined with a partial off-center strike. After authentication and grading by a leading third-party service, it received an astonishing valuation due to its pristine condition and the unique combination of errors. Experts speculated that if auctioned, it could fetch millions, and that prediction came true when private collectors began offering unprecedented sums to own what was being called the perfect error cent. This incident alone fueled widespread interest in examining 2019 D pennies for hidden mistakes, sparking a new wave of treasure hunting across the United States. People began checking their pocket change, coin rolls, and old jars, hoping to find a similar rarity, and social media platforms exploded with videos and photos of supposed 2019 D errors, though only a handful were confirmed genuine by experts. What makes the coin even more valuable is its state of preservation. Coins graded as mint state 68 or higher by agencies like PCGS or NGC are nearly flawless and can command incredible premiums, especially when combined with confirmed minting errors. The top-graded 2019 D error cents exhibit sharp details, rich red luster, and minimal contact marks, making them both historically and aesthetically priceless. Some collectors even speculate that additional varieties remain undiscovered, possibly sitting unnoticed in sealed mint rolls or bank bags, waiting to shock the numismatic world once more. Beyond technical reasons, there's also the psychological and cultural fascination surrounding coins like this. The idea that a single cent, something most people overlook or discard, could be worth $4 million taps into the universal dream of finding hidden wealth in the most ordinary places. It's a modern-day gold rush contained within a penny. Each reported discovery reignites hope among collectors and casual observers alike that their next handful of change might contain a fortune. The story of the 2019 D1 coin is therefore more than just a tale of mechanical imperfection, it's a symbol of the mystery and wonder inherent in American minting history. Even the design itself contributes to its allure. Next. The 2002 D1 coin, a humble piece of copper-plated zinc that has stunned collectors around the world with reports of examples selling for as high as $7 million due to extraordinary minting errors, rare variations, and mysterious anomalies that have made it one of the most sought-after Lincoln cents ever struck. At first glance, a 2002 D penny seems ordinary, bearing the familiar image of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse with the Denver Mint mark under the date, and the classic Lincoln Memorial design on the reverse, a design that had been used since 1959 to honor the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. Yet beneath this ordinary surface lies a fascinating world of mistakes and variations that have captivated the coin collecting community, revealing how even a small oversight at the U.S. Mint can create a piece of history worth millions. To understand how a penny minted in 2002 could reach such a staggering value, we must explore the types of errors that make coins like this so desirable, from double dies and off-center strikes to planchet flaws, repunched mint marks, die cracks, and even transitional metal errors. The 2002 D Lincoln Cent series was produced at the Denver Mint, one of the primary mints responsible for circulating coinage in the United States, and that year, billions of these coins rolled off the presses. Yet among the billions, a handful of these small copper-plated coins emerged with characteristics that set them apart from all the rest. Some collectors began noticing 2002 D pennies with what appeared to be doubled images, particularly around Lincoln's eyes, nose, and the inscriptions, "In God We Trust," and "Liberty." These doubling effects, caused by a misalignment between the hub and die during the minting process, resulted in what numismatists call a doubled die error, and when found in strong, visible form, they can be worth thousands, or in exceptional cases, millions. But what really sent the collecting world buzzing were reports of 2002 D cents struck on transitional planchets that were not intended for that year's coinage but were accidentally used in production. Since 1982, U.S. pennies have been composed of 97.5% zinc and 2.5% copper plating, weighing about 2.5 grams, but certain error coins from 2002 have been discovered on older bronze or experimental planchets, weighing around 3.1 grams, similar to pre-1982 cents. If verified, such an error would represent one of the most incredible minting mishaps in modern history, making any example with that weight difference immensely valuable. Imagine finding what seems to be an ordinary 2002 penny, but when placed on a scale, it tips slightly heavier than expected, revealing the possibility that it was struck on the wrong metal blank. Such discoveries have turned ordinary people into millionaires overnight. Beyond metal composition errors, some 2002 pennies exhibit dramatic off-center strikes, where part of the design is missing because the coin blank was improperly positioned in the coining press. The more off-center the strike without losing the date or mint mark, the higher the value. Others show broad strikes, where the coin was struck without a retaining collar, causing it to expand unnaturally and distort the rim. Some even display die clashes, where the obverse and reverse dies hit each other without a planchet between them, transferring ghostly outlines of the Lincoln Memorial onto Lincoln's face or vice versa. Each of these rare variations tells a story of human error, machine imperfection, and the unpredictability of minting at high speeds, and it's precisely this combination that excites collectors and investors alike. One of the most talked about 2002 penny errors is the so-called floating roof variety, in which the top of the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse appears to be disconnected from the sides, creating the illusion that it's floating. This occurs when the die becomes worn or overpolished, removing the fine lines that connect the roof to the columns. While minor examples of this can be found in other years, strong examples from 2002 are particularly rare and can command a significant premium. Then there's the no FG error, where the initials FG, for designer Frank Gasparo, are missing from the reverse. This can happen when a die is overpolished to the point where these small details are completely removed. Collectors love these no initials varieties because they represent clear, visible minting errors that can be confirmed without magnification. But the intrigue doesn't end there. In the realm of coin collecting, what truly sets apart a multimillion-dollar piece isn't just the error itself but the combination of factors: rarity, condition, provenance, and the story it tells. The few 2002 1-cent coins that have fetched such astronomical prices reportedly combine multiple major errors: double dies, off-metal composition, and even strike-throughs, where foreign material like grease or cloth got between the die and planchet during striking, leaving behind unique textures or missing design areas. When these one-of-a-kind coins make it into the hands of expert graders at PCGS or NGC and receive high grades such as MS-67 or MS-68 red, their market value can skyrocket beyond comprehension. Imagine owning a coin that weighs slightly more than it should, shows strong doubling on both sides, and is missing crucial elements due to a minting mishap. Such a combination is virtually impossible to replicate intentionally, and that's exactly why the 2002 penny has earned its mythical multimillion-dollar reputation. The market for rare errors has exploded in recent years thanks to social media, YouTube, and online auction platforms where collectors share their finds and bidding wars drive prices to record-breaking levels. A single coin with a verified combination of rare traits can attract global attention, especially when there's documented provenance tracing it back to a minting batch known for production issues. The Denver Mint, while one of the most technologically advanced facilities in the world, still faced challenges in 2002 with die maintenance and planchet consistency as machines operated under immense pressure and speed to meet production quotas. These conditions create the perfect storm for minting mishaps, particularly when older planchets or worn dies are inadvertently reused or misaligned. Some theories even suggest that a few 2002 Lincoln cents may have been experimental test strikes for compositional analysis, mistakenly released into circulation, making them extraordinarily valuable to collectors and researchers. The fascination with these coins also ties into the broader appeal of Lincoln cents, which have been minted continuously since 1909, making them one of the longest-running coin designs in U.S. history. Over more than a century, the Lincoln penny has witnessed transitions from wheat ears to the memorial and later the shield design, alongside numerous composition changes. Throughout those decades, collectors have hunted tirelessly for rare varieties like the 1955 double die, the 1972 strong doubling, the 1983 copper transitional error, and the 1992 close AM, each of which has fetched enormous sums at auction. The 2002 penny now joins that elite company, a reminder that even in the modern era, minting errors can occur and produce numismatic wonders. The coin's story has become a legend whispered in collector circles, with tales of individuals who found one in loose change or an old jar, only to realize its unbelievable worth after professional evaluation. It's this dream, the idea that anyone could stumble upon a fortune in the form of a single cent, that fuels the ongoing fascination and pushes people to examine every coin that passes through their hands. While many collectors focus on older coins, the 2002D has proven that modern issues can also hold hidden treasures, especially when it comes to complex minting anomalies. Some examples show doubled die reverses where the inscriptions, United States of America, or 1 cent, appear shadowed or split under magnification, while others feature partial collar strikes resulting in uneven rims and slightly raised edges. There are even known cases of 2002D pennies with die cracks running through Lincoln's bust or across the memorial columns, forming what enthusiasts affectionately call lightning bolt or spiderweb errors. The intensity, placement, and visibility of these cracks can significantly impact value, especially if they intersect important design elements. Another rare feature sometimes observed in high-value 2002D cents is a repunched mint mark, or RPM, where the D mint mark was struck more than once in slightly different positions. RPMs were more common in earlier decades, but their presence in a modern coin adds considerable allure, signaling a rare mishap during die preparation. With such a variety of potential errors, collectors carefully weigh each factor, strike quality, luster, toning, and error clarity, when determining market value. And yet, the true appeal of the $7 million 2002D penny lies not merely in its technical flaws but in the narrative it embodies, the unpredictability of human craftsmanship, the endurance of small imperfections, and the mystery of how a 1-cent coin can transcend its humble face value to become a national sensation. The coin collecting community thrives on such stories because they illustrate how art, history, and chance converge in the smallest details. Next, the 1980D 1-cent coin, a seemingly ordinary penny that, because of its fascinating errors and unique production history, has been rumored to sell for an incredible $51 million. At first glance, the 1980D penny might not look much different from any other Lincoln cent, featuring Abraham Lincoln's familiar profile on the obverse and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse, but under closer inspection, the details tell a much deeper and more valuable story. This small copper-colored coin, minted at the Denver Mint in 1980, carries a mix of transitional composition changes, minting errors, die flaws, and mysterious variations that have made it one of the most discussed and sought-after coins in modern U.S. numismatic history. To understand how such a small denomination could reach such astronomical value, we need to go back to the late 1970s, when the U.S. Mint was facing rising production costs due to the fluctuating price of copper. Before 1982, pennies were made of 95% copper and 5% zinc, but as copper prices surged, the mint began experimenting with alternative materials, preparing for a shift to the copper-plated zinc composition we know today. During that transitional period, test planchets, experimental strikes, and composition inconsistencies occurred, and some of these may have found their way into circulation, creating extremely rare variants. Among them, a handful of 1980D cents are believed to have been struck on transitional planchets, possibly leftover from the experimental phase or struck on foreign coin blanks intended for another denomination or even another country. Such anomalies can dramatically increase the value of a coin, especially when confirmed by authentication agencies like PCGS or NGC. Another factor contributing to the immense value of the 1980D penny is its unique mint mark placement and die alignment. Some examples show a D mint mark that appears slightly off-center or tilted, a subtle variation that indicates it was hand-punched into the die, a common practice before automated mint mark applications were fully standardized. This means that even tiny differences between two coins can make one worth millions while the other remains ordinary. Collectors have found examples of the 1980D penny with double die errors on both the obverse and reverse, most notably in the inscriptions "Liberty," "In God We Trust," and the date, 1980. Under magnification, the letters appear doubled, creating a ghost-like shadow effect that occurred when the die imprinted the image twice slightly out of alignment. Such double dies are highly prized among collectors, and when paired with a mint mark anomaly, the rarity compounds. Furthermore, the reverse side, featuring the Lincoln Memorial, has been known to show signs of die deterioration, misalignment, and even fold doubling in some specimens. These doubling errors are often subtle and easily overlooked, but to experts, they can signify a coin of incredible significance. Some reports suggest a few of these pennies were struck using dies prepared for another mint location or reworked after damage, creating die cracks and cuds, raised lumps of metal where parts of the die broke off during striking. These cuds can form along the rim or across letters, making each affected coin a unique, one-of-a-kind artifact. There are even rumors in numismatic circles about a handful of 1980 cents struck on bronze planchets left over from pre-1982 batches, making them transitional rarities that bridge two eras of U.S. coinage. These rare off-metal strikes often slip through quality control because visually they resemble standard cents, but their metallic composition reveals the difference under testing. A bronze 1980 cent would weigh approximately 3.11 grams, while a zinc version would weigh closer to 2.5 grams, and that small difference could mean the difference between a penny worth 1 cent and a collector's dream worth millions. In addition to these composition anomalies, the 1980 penny also shows examples of striking errors such as off-center strikes, broad strikes, and partial collar errors. An off-center strike occurs when the blank planchet isn't properly seated in the coining press, causing the design to appear misaligned and sometimes missing parts of the lettering or Lincoln's portrait. The more dramatic the off-center error while retaining visible key details like the date and mint mark, the higher the coin's potential value. A broad strike, on the other hand, results from a coin being struck outside the retaining collar, which normally shapes the coin's edge. This gives the penny a stretched, pancake-like appearance, often making it slightly larger and thinner than a regular cent. These errors captivate collectors because they vividly illustrate the minting process gone awry, turning what was supposed to be a mass-produced piece into a distinctive artifact of minting history. Another intriguing possibility lies in the realm of die clashes, when two dies strike each other without a planchet between them, leaving ghostly impressions of one side's design on the other. Some 1980 cents reportedly show faint outlines of the Lincoln Memorial on the obverse or traces of Lincoln's profile on the reverse, a telltale sign of a die clash error. Such imperfections not only intrigue numismatists but also tell a story about the intense pressures, precision, and occasional mishaps inside the U.S. Mint. Over time, the legend of the 1980 penny's value grew as rare examples surfaced at auctions or were authenticated by experts. Some were found in change jars, coin rolls, or inherited collections, sparking media coverage and online discussions among coin enthusiasts who couldn't believe that a penny minted over 4 decades ago could be worth more than luxury cars or entire houses. But the market for rare coins operates on a unique blend of rarity, demand, condition, and provenance. A coin like the 1980 1 cent becomes a numismatic superstar when it represents not only a physical rarity but also a historical moment, when American currency was in transition, technology was evolving, and quality control still relied on human hands. The Denver Mint in 1980 was producing billions of pennies, yet only a handful of flawed survivors emerged, escaping the mint's rigorous inspection and entering circulation as hidden treasures waiting to be discovered. Another layer of intrigue comes from repunched mint marks, where the D appears to have been struck more than once. These RPM, repunched mint mark, varieties were created when the mint mark punch was applied multiple times to ensure clarity but ended up creating overlapping impressions. In the 1980 penny, examples of strong RPMs show 2 or even 3 visible D impressions under magnification, giving it a distinctive and highly collectible character. The stronger and more visible the repunching, the rarer and more valuable the coin becomes. Combined with a possible double die or off-metal strike, the coin's appeal skyrockets, turning a once common cent into a numismatic marvel. Even the coin's surface characteristics can add to its mystique. Some 1980 cents exhibit unusual toning patterns caused by oxidation, chemical reactions, or environmental exposure. Rainbow toning, where the metal displays iridescent hues of blue, gold, and purple, can drastically increase the desirability of a coin when it enhances rather than detracts from its visual appeal. Natural toning caused by decades of storage in coin albums, envelopes, or jars can create unique colorations that make each coin distinct. Collectors often pay premiums for such aesthetic appeal, especially when it complements an already rare error or variation. Furthermore, strike-through errors, when foreign material like grease, cloth fibers, or metal shavings get caught between the die and planchet, can produce missing or blurred design elements. Some 1980 pennies show partial obscuring of the motto, "In God We Trust," or the word "Liberty," making them even more fascinating. Grease-filled dies were not uncommon during this period, and when combined with aging equipment or production overload, they created a variety of subtle yet valuable minting mistakes. There are also examples of die rotations, where the reverse of the coin is not perfectly aligned with the obverse when flipped vertically. The standard alignment for US coins is 180 degrees, meaning Lincoln should appear upside down when the coin is turned top to bottom. But in some 1980 cents, the alignment deviates slightly, sometimes by 10, 20, or even 90 degrees, making them extremely collectible. Each of these varieties represents a tangible piece of minting history and a testament to the complexity of producing billions of coins to exacting standards. As these anomalies accumulate, doubled dies, off-center strikes, transitional planchets, repunched mint marks, they create a perfect storm of rarity. In the world of coin collecting, rarity is the ultimate currency, and when combined with demand and authentication, the sky's the limit. For instance, a 1980 penny certified by a top grading service in pristine condition, MS 67 or higher, with a verified double die or off-metal strike could easily command tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, or even millions at auction. Add a compelling backstory, media attention, and collector frenzy, and prices can soar even further, creating legends like the rumored $51 million sale. Next, the 1971 1-cent coin, a simple Lincoln penny that most people overlook but which, under certain conditions and with specific minting errors, has reached an astonishing estimated value of $15 million. Yes, you heard that right, a 1-cent coin that's worth millions. It's a story that mixes history, luck, rarity, and the art of minting into something that every collector dreams of finding. So let's dive right into how a small copper penny from 1971, minted during an era of economic change and industrial transition, could end up being one of the most valuable coins in circulation. To understand why a 1971 penny can command such a staggering price tag, we must first look at the context of its creation. The year 1971 was a transitional period for U.S. coinage, as the U.S. Mint was shifting its methods and technology while battling issues of rising metal costs and the challenges of mass production. The Lincoln cent had already seen changes since its introduction in 1909, but the early 1970s brought new variations in dies, planchets, and striking pressure, which opened the door to a range of minting errors that would later become the focus of coin collectors and numismatic experts. The standard 1971 penny was made of 95% copper and 5% zinc, weighing about 3.11 grams, and it featured the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse with the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. It was minted in Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco, each with its own identifying mint mark, except Philadelphia coins which carried none. While billions of these coins were produced, certain anomalies occurred during minting that created extremely rare and valuable variants, and it's these mistakes that can turn a single penny into a multi-million-dollar treasure. The most famous among these are the double die obverse errors, where the coin's design was accidentally struck twice due to a misalignment between the die and the planchet. When this happens, the inscriptions like, "In God We Trust, Liberty," and the date, 1971, appear doubled or shadowed. In some cases, this doubling is dramatic and easily visible to the naked eye, making those coins instantly stand out from ordinary ones. The 1971 double die obverse penny is among the most desirable errors in coin collecting, as only a handful have been discovered with strong doubling and preserved in pristine condition. A coin like that, graded high by professional services like PCGS or NGC, can fetch astronomical sums at auction, and one particularly flawless specimen with deep, clear doubling and a lustrous red finish has been rumored to have reached bids exceeding $15 million due to its rarity and historical significance. But doubling errors are not the only reason the 1971 penny is valuable. There are also variations in the planchets themselves. Some were struck on bronze planchets from previous years or even on transitional planchets meant for foreign coins. These wrong planchet errors are exceedingly rare because they occur when a blank from another coin type accidentally enters the press meant for Lincoln cents. There are known 1971 pennies struck on dime planchets, resulting in thinner, smaller coins missing parts of their design, or on foreign coin planchets like those meant for centavos or Canadian cents, giving them unique weights and color tones. Each of these anomalies adds to the intrigue and collectible value, especially if the coin is authenticated and documented. Then there are striking errors like off-center strikes, where the design is misaligned so that part of the image is missing, and broad strikes, where the coin expands beyond its normal border due to the collar die failing to contain it during striking. A dramatic off-center strike of a 1971 penny with a clear date and partial portrait of Lincoln can fetch thousands or even hundreds of thousands of dollars, depending on condition, while a combination of such errors, say, a double die off-center strike, can propel its value into the millions. Another category that adds mystery and worth to the 1971 penny is the existence of proof errors. Proof coins were meant to be flawless specimens made for collectors, struck at the San Francisco Mint with polished dies and planchets to produce mirror-like finishes. However, on rare occasions, mistakes occurred even in these controlled processes, leading to proof coins with doubling, incorrect mint marks, or incomplete polishing. A 1971 S-proof double die obverse penny is one of the most sought-after modern proof errors, combining the rarity of a proof issue with the distinctiveness of a minting flaw. Collectors go wild for such combinations because they represent the intersection of perfection and imperfection, a coin that was supposed to be flawless but ended up flawed in a beautiful, unique way. Some experts even speculate that only a few dozen true double die proof 1971 S pennies exist, and pristine examples with strong eye appeal could easily command values in the multi-million-dollar range, especially if they hold historical provenance or were part of notable collections. Beyond mechanical minting errors, environmental and metallurgical anomalies also contribute to the intrigue. For example, variations in the copper content or surface composition caused by impurities during production can create unusual color tones or spotting that, while not technically an error, can make certain coins unique. A 1971 penny with natural toning that creates rainbow-like hues across its surface can draw collector attention and significantly enhance its aesthetic and market value. Then there are die cracks and cuds, raised lines or blobs on the coin's surface where the die itself fractured or deteriorated during striking. These features tell the story of the die's wear and tear, and for certain series like the Lincoln Cent, some collectors specialize in mapping out these die states. A 1971 penny with a prominent die crack forming a pattern, such as a line across Lincoln's face or a break on the reverse around the Lincoln Memorial, can become a one-of-a-kind specimen. The most exceptional cases combine multiple errors, a double die with an off-center strike, or a die crack intersecting the date or mint mark. These complex errors often command huge premiums because they show multiple stages of mint malfunction in one coin, offering a glimpse into the chaotic and fascinating process of coin production. The journey from an ordinary 1971 penny to a $15 million rarity is not just about physical differences, it's also about rarity, demand, and the story each coin tells. The numismatic market is driven by passion as much as by rarity, and collectors who value history and imperfection see these coins as tiny time capsules. A 1971 double die or wrong planchet penny doesn't just represent a minting error, it's a snapshot of a moment when machinery, human oversight, and chance combine to produce something unrepeatable. As the years pass, coins like these become scarcer because many were lost to circulation, melted down, or damaged. The few that survive in pristine or near-pristine condition become holy grails for collectors. Add to that the nostalgia of the 1970s, an era marked by economic challenges, the end of the silver era in coinage, and America's shifting financial identity, and you have a coin that resonates beyond its metal composition. It symbolizes endurance, rarity, and the hidden value in ordinary things. Many stories circulate in coin collecting communities about lucky individuals who found such treasures in their pocket change or inherited them from relatives without realizing their worth. One famous account tells of a man who discovered a 1971 double die obverse penny while sorting through an old jar of coins inherited from his grandfather. Thinking it was just another penny, he almost spent it before noticing the slight doubling on Liberty. Upon closer inspection with a magnifying glass and later professional grading, it turned out to be one of the strongest known examples, and it sold at a private auction for a life-changing amount. Another tale tells of a collector who had a misstruck 1971 penny that appeared oddly shaped. After years of keeping it as a curiosity, he learned it was a rare off-metal strike worth over $1 million. These stories fuel the fascination and remind collectors and enthusiasts that treasure hunting is not confined to ancient artifacts or pirate gold, it can happen right in your change jar. The $15 million valuation of certain 1971 pennies comes from a combination of unique attributes: extreme rarity, historical importance, error magnitude, and collector demand. The numismatic market values uniqueness above all, and when only a handful of examples exist, the sky's the limit for prices. Auction houses like Heritage, Stack's Bowers, and Great Collections have all reported record-breaking sales for coins with significant errors or provenance, and the Lincoln Cent series has consistently remained one of the most collected in the world. A top-graded 1971 double-die obverse penny in mint red condition, with strong doubling and flawless luster, represents perfection within imperfection, a masterpiece of accidental creation, and when collectors compete for such a coin, the price can easily surpass expectations. The psychological aspect of rarity also plays a role. When collectors know that only a few examples exist worldwide, owning one becomes a badge of honor, a symbol of achievement in a competitive hobby that blends art, history, and economics. Last. Today, we're going to explore one of the most fascinating coins in American history, the 1981 cent coin, a piece that has stunned collectors and experts alike because of its mysterious errors and minting mistakes that have elevated its value to an astounding $36 million. It's hard to imagine that a small copper coin, something you might find buried in your couch cushions or lying forgotten in an old jar, could be worth a fortune, but as we'll uncover, the story behind this coin is full of unusual details, rare minting anomalies, and an intriguing mix of historical context and collector obsession that makes it one of the most talked about pennies of all time. The 1981 cent coin might seem ordinary at first glance, showing the familiar image of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse, but what sets certain examples apart are the subtle imperfections that occurred during its production at the U.S. Mint. These aren't just small blemishes, they are the kind of rare minting errors that turn a simple coin into a legendary collectible. To understand why one of these coins could be valued at $36 million, we first have to step back and look at the broader picture of coin production during that time. The year 1980 was an important one for American coinage. The U.S. Mint was transitioning its operations, experimenting with alloys, and making adjustments to the minting process due to inflation and changes in the cost of raw materials. Pennies were made of a copper alloy at that time, 95% copper and 5% zinc, but the mint was already facing discussions about reducing copper content due to rising prices. This background makes the 1980 cent a part of a transitional period, which is always a time when unusual errors can slip through unnoticed. Some of the 1981 cent coins were struck on planchets intended for foreign coins or on transitional metal compositions, creating extremely rare variations. There are documented cases where coins were accidentally struck on bronze planchets with incorrect weights, or on planchets meant for other denominations, such as the dime. Imagine a penny-sized coin that's slightly lighter, shinier, or thinner than it should be, revealing that it was struck on the wrong type of blank metal disc. These types of errors are exceptionally rare and highly prized by collectors because they represent a physical mistake in a process that is usually tightly controlled. The 1981 cent coin with these errors became particularly famous after several examples were discovered to have double die obverse, off-center strikes, and planchet impurities that gave them unique appearances under magnification. One of the most notable features found on the 1980 cent is the doubling effect on the date and the inscriptions "Liberty" and "In God We Trust." Doubling occurs when the die, the stamp that imprints the design onto the blank coin, shifts slightly between strikes, creating a layered or ghosted appearance of the letters and numbers. When viewed through a jeweler's loupe, this doubling gives the coin an almost three-dimensional look, and certain examples of this error are so pronounced that collectors are willing to pay astronomical sums for them. Another interesting aspect is the off-center strikes. Normally, coins are perfectly centered when struck, but sometimes a misalignment occurs, and the design appears shifted to one side, exposing part of the blank surface. These off-center errors can range from slight misalignments to dramatic half-blank examples, and the more severe and visually striking the error, the higher the potential value. A 1981 cent coin with a major off-center strike combined with a double die error would be the kind of piece that collectors dream of finding, and it's easy to see why such a coin could command a multi-million-dollar price. Then there's the case of wrong planchet strikes, one of the rarest kinds of mint errors that can occur. Sometimes a planchet intended for a foreign coin or a different U.S. denomination accidentally enters the penny press. For instance, a coin could be struck on a planchet meant for a dime, resulting in a lighter, thinner coin with a completely unexpected metallic composition. There have been verified examples of 1980 pennies struck on dime planchets that exhibit a silvery tone instead of the typical copper color, and these pieces are among the most sought-after errors in numismatic history. Add to that the occasional occurrence of broad strikes, where a coin is struck without the restraining collar that normally keeps it the right diameter, causing it to spread out slightly and lose its edge reading. Each of these rare variations adds another layer of mystery to the 1981 cent coin's legend. Another contributing factor to the high value of certain 1980 cents lies in the phenomenon of die cracks and cuds. A die crack appears when the metal die used to strike the coin develops a small fracture, allowing molten metal to seep into the crack and produce a raised line on the surface of the coin. These lines can vary from small hairline marks to dramatic raised ridges that almost look like veins across the design. A cud, on the other hand, happens when a piece of the die breaks off entirely, leaving a blank, blob-like raised area on the coin. These cuds are highly prized because each one is unique to the specific die and striking event. Finding a 1980 cent with an especially large or unusual cud can turn a 1-cent piece into a once-in-a-lifetime find. And let's not forget the possibility of clipped planchets, where a small section of the coin is missing due to an error in the cutting process when blank planchets are punched out of metal sheets. A 1981-cent coin with a cleanly curved clip or a straight-edge clip can be worth thousands on its own, but when combined with other errors like doubling or off-centering, its rarity skyrockets. All of these possibilities combine to make the 1981 cent one of the most error-prone and collectible pennies in modern history, but what truly sends the value into the multi-million-dollar range is when multiple rare features appear together on the same coin. A single coin exhibiting a double die obverse, an off-center strike, and a wrong planchet composition would be virtually one of a kind, and that uniqueness is what drives collectors to bid enormous sums at auction. There have been rumors of private collectors offering millions for specific error combinations on 1980 cents, especially those authenticated by professional grading services like PCGS or NGC, which confirm that the coin's anomalies are genuine and not post-mint damage. Authenticity is everything in numismatics, and when a certified expert labels a coin as an authentic mint error, its value can skyrocket overnight. Beyond the minting errors themselves, part of what makes the 1981 cent coin so alluring to collectors is its place in American history. The early 1980s marked a transitional era for U.S. currency, when the mint was under pressure to reduce production costs, and discussions about switching from copper to cheaper materials were intensifying. This historical context makes coins from 1980 symbolic of the end of an era, the last years before the full zinc core pennies of 1982 became standard. Many collectors see the 1981 cent as one of the final, true copper cents, adding sentimental and historical value to its appeal. Moreover, coins from this period often show minor inconsistencies due to wear and recalibration of minting machines, meaning that even normal-looking 1980 cents can vary slightly in color, luster, and strike sharpness. These subtleties fascinate serious collectors who study every minute detail under magnification to distinguish ordinary coins from hidden gems. The mystery surrounding the 1981 cent coin deepened when stories emerged of a small number of these coins displaying mirror-like surfaces or unusual coloring, suggesting they might have been experimental strikes or proof-like specimens that somehow escaped the mint. Proof coins are normally struck with specially polished dies and intended for collectors, not circulation, so finding a 1980 cent with proof-like qualities adds an entirely new dimension of intrigue. A combination of exceptional luster, doubling errors, and rare planchet variations can make a coin like this appear almost otherworldly, a glittering symbol of minting perfection gone slightly awry. That blend of beauty and imperfection is what gives the 1981 cent its almost mythical status among coin enthusiasts. Another compelling factor is how the collector market responds to stories and provenance. When a coin like the 1981 cent surfaces in an old collection or estate sale, especially if it has verifiable documentation tracing its discovery, the value increases exponentially. Provenance adds credibility and allure, transforming a rare coin into a piece of numismatic folklore. A 1981 cent coin with verified errors, exceptional eye appeal, and a documented discovery story can become a centerpiece in any world-class collection, easily fetching millions from passionate buyers who see it as an irreplaceable relic of American minting history. Experts also point out that as time goes by, fewer of these coins remain in pristine condition. Most 1980 pennies have circulated for decades, accumulating scratches, wear, and oxidation, which makes finding a well-preserved error specimen incredibly difficult. Coins graded as mint state, MS 65 or higher with visible errors are almost non-existent, and their scarcity only amplifies their value.